Hello everyone, very good evening. I'm Bhuvnesh Vyas, President Law Awareness Society. Welcome you all in the webinar organized by the Law Awareness Society. Today with us we have our guest of honor and speaker, all-rounder personality, Mr. Rajveer Deshwal sir, retired IPS, currently advocate, High Court, writer and author of so many books. So now without wasting time, I request sir to start the webinar.
Thank you, Bhuvaneshwar. Bhuvanesh, good evening, everyone, all my young friends from the budding legal fraternity from all over the country. I'm happy to be interacting with you all. Please feel free at the end of the session to ask me any questions, even if they are a little personal, because I have spent about 35 years in the police department. I retired as Additional DG Human Rights and Litigation in Haryana. And Bhuvanesh has assigned me the task of talking with you all on the issue of police brutality. If you go by the recent examples, then a very glaring example we can quote from is from the US, where George Floyd, he was a black man and he was brutally killed by certain police officers who have been of late charged with manslaughter. And all over America, there were protests and agitations, and there is still going on debate and Black Lives Matter, and all those issues have once again come up, and even to the extent that the council there, the municipal, the mayor and his team, they have decided to, in Minneapolis, 13 of them, they have decided, passed a bill, brought a bill, not passed, brought a bill to disband the police. They would not want the police. Meaning thereby that, of course, the language is to defund the police, which means that police department is not to be done away with, of course, but then all the funding, all the budgeting has to be spent on inspiring youth and other youth-related programs where you have better understanding of the society, civil society norms, and you don't go haywire, and you behave yourself, and within the community there is lesser scope of indulgence in crime. So that debate is going on. Unfortunately, George Floyd, he had to say goodbye to this world. Nearer home, very recently, another incident took place in Tuticorin, Tamil Nadu, where a man and his son, 59 years old man and his son 31 years old, they were brutally, quote unquote, murdered in police custody. They were taken away on the pretext of having stayed in business beyond 8 p.m. or whatever was the time fixed due to corona curfew, and they were allegedly taken to the police station, given beatings, and when they literally snuffed lives out of these two businessmen who were carrying out their business of mobile phones, etc. And later on, the police registered a case against them of 332 and 353, etc., etc. And they also made it over to the general public and media and every other fora that these people, they rolled on the floor and got injuries on their person. Unfortunately, in the entire deal, because we have been listening only through the newspapers and reports have been coming in, that even the magistrate who they were allegedly reportedly produced before, did not care to talk to them. So somewhere the entire criminal justice delivery system seems to be in disarray. And when there was huge hue and cry, when there were protests all around, so the investigation was given over to a magistrate and then to CBI. Now CBI will probe the role of these police officers. Later on, there was a transfer list issued by the government, and which unfortunately had those DSPs and other officers suitably accommodated. So I would say that in the backdrop of these two incidents, the problem of police being brutal at times, particularly with regard to accused persons in their custody, is nothing new. It is not a new phenomenon that is coming up. It is a phenomena which exists since ages. Police brutality has been known, and reason thereof is that police is vested with so many of powers that they think that they can talk through their head, and they have the entire law machinery with them, and they can bully anyone, and they can arm twist anyone, and quote unquote they can kill anyone. I'm making a very bold statement here. Because I have been an insider. I know what is there existing and obtaining in the minds of policemen. There is nothing to suggest that there are not good policemen within the police department. There are much better professionals in the police department, but for certain black sheep, or there are certain reasons. I'll spell out the reasons one after the other before taking your questions. But then there are so many reasons why the police become so brutal as to take lives of people who they have either arrested or they are to interrogate and they are to deal with. So the most important thing that we must bear in mind is that we have inherited a colonial police system which catered to the sovereign. There's nothing wrong in catering to the interests of the sovereign and the public and the rule of law and the law of the land. But then this is not the constitutional legacy, this is colonial legacy. If there is constitutional legacy, the policeman would know that he is not supposed to take somebody's life. The policeman would know that he has been entrusted with somebody's being. Of course, he has to investigate. Of course, he has to reach out to the truth. But he doesn't have to use first degree, second degree, third degree methods to extract confession out of any accused. And as you would know, the confession before a police officer is no confession at all. It's no confession. The police does it. Reason being that it helps in solving the case, and it helps in following a particular line to adopt in the investigations. And why do the police officers, they indulge in these activities? It is very clear. It is clear in the sense that they have so much of pressure to be brought upon them, not only from the courts, not only from the media, but from general public and the victim's side. Leave aside everyone else. They have immense pressure of their seniors that you work out this case by fastest means. And then the easy way out is to put pressure on the accused person, humiliate them, use third degree, and be violent with them until and unless they tell you the truth. This happens within the police station. Once you are in police custody, it means that the police officer in charge has to be your overall, be having your overall responsibility. And like in other countries, there is a system of putting a man in the lockup. The lockup in charge has the powers to refuse taking custody of the person, because you have to justify it in so many ways. So all these police people working in a closed place like a police station are suffering always from a kind of bunker mentality. Bunker mentality is something which compels all the members of that particular police station or organization or or uh, or the conglomerate, or all the group. Now, if person A is being violent with someone, so person B, who might not be involved, but he keeps silent. There is a conspiracy of silence, and this is called bunker mentality, which means that when you are there in a bunker, you are to defend yourself, and you are to fire shells, or whatever you do has to stay confined only to that particular place, that is the bunker. Now, this happens mostly, I'm saying mostly, with, if not knowledge, but yes, the senior officers to know that this might take place. The senior officers are also to be blamed for such lapses, because they are the people who are supposed to be giving leadership to their subordinates. They cannot entrust their subordinates to be dealing with human lives as and when they feel like, breaking all the norms and everything else. The power to arrest vests with the police. Unfortunately, there is a plethora of litigation for even smaller offenses, minor offenses. There is power of to arrest. The police has powers to arrest. Now, there was earlier recommendations in the police reforms. It was earlier recommended many times that the police should be divested of the power to arrest, but only in cases where the punishment is more than 3 to 7 years. Meaning thereby that if somebody is having a satta operator is there, or somebody has been found drinking on public place, so the police will arrest him, take him to the police station, produce him before the magistrate the next day, keep him in the lockup the whole night, and the magistrate would enlarge him on personal bond or bail. So the entire effort of the police also goes waste, and you are unnecessarily loading the police with arrests. So there is a movement in the present days to divest the police of their powers to of arrest in certain cases which are of minor nature. For example, I would say that in Motor Vehicles Act or traffic related cases, what is so important for a person to be arrested and produced before a magistrate until and unless he has willfully killed someone, or until and unless he has done something which is really grave in nature. For minor accidents, for minor, you can claim damages. You don't need to arrest a person and take him through the mill, through the grind of the procedures, and where there is scope for him to be ill-treated and violently treated. In fact, you would all know that there is a judgment of the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, regarding, which is titled D.K. Basu. And this D.K. Basu judgment is there. It has certain restrictions put on the police officers. As and when somebody is arrested, his relatives have to be informed, he is to be medically examined, and there is a tall list, about 50-60 points are there. They are to be taken into account before, at the time of the arrest of a person. How he is going to be dealt with. The entire process is laid down by way of a case law, by the Supreme Court. And all these guidelines have been put up in front of all the most of the police stations and police chowkis all over the country. And still these things are being carried out with impunity, and they should definitely be treated with an iron hand. But having said all this, I would like you all to know that the police, although I'm not saying that the police should be given any kind of a leverage on that, but then you must realize that police is under pressure also. And many times the brutalities of police surface because they are under pressure from the courts, from the seniors, from the media, from the public, and they are always in a hurry to uh, deliver and give results. And this doesn't justify their act of being violent with the accused persons, not at all. But I'll, from my personal example, I'll recollect that I have spent 35 years in the police department. I have remained SSP for about 4 or 5 districts in Haryana. I have served the government of India. I have been Commissioner of Police, Ambala Panchkula. I have been IG of Karnal Range. I have been additional DG of Human Rights and Litigation in Haryana. But then I also appreciate sometimes that the police officers are never trusted, maybe for good reasons or bad reasons. But then there was an incident, I must quote the incident here, in Ambala, where 2 persons belonging to a Dalit community, they were handed over by a group of people from a colony because they were trying to steal something. And in the dead of night, not dead of night, around 11 o'clock, these 2 were brought to the police station, Chowki. And the police officers there, 3 of them, they said, you bring them in the morning, then we will, otherwise we'll have to keep them in the lockup for the night and we'll have to proceed accordingly. So they said, no, nothing doing. We have handed them over to you and you take care of them. Now, the police officers, what they did was they put them into handcuffs, and that handcuff was tied with a hook in the wall. Now, the police officers, they went to sleep, and these 2 guys, they were there. Early in the morning, having worked all through the night to loosen that hook, they freed themselves around 5 o'clock in the morning. And with those handcuffs in both the hands, they walked up to a railway track which was close by. And in a filmy style, one of them said, okay, let's lie on the track in a way that the train would go and the chain will get cut. And it happened that way only. This man, these 2 boys, they lay on the railway track. The train came. Unfortunately, one boy was killed and the chain was cut. Now, in the morning, and there was one witness, a woman, old woman, who saw all this. She later told the police that this had happened. And these 2 boys, one was killed, the other fled away from the scene. The one who was killed was discovered, but there was a handcuff on his hand, which confirmed that he was in police custody. And if he was in police custody, how come he was found on the railway tracks? And a straight accusation was made on the police officers, 3 of them, that they brought these 2 people here and they killed them, having thrown them in front of a running train. Now the tempers ran high. It was a Dalit community grievance, and the other boy who saved his life, he was nowhere to be traced. And the moment he was traced, he knew the truth. But he was told to just keep mum because they would have due compensation from the government. They'll have due damages from the cops, and then they would ask for the job, police job for one person from the family. All this happened, and the police officers ultimately were placed under suspension, and they were booked for murder, and the case was handed over to the crime branch of Haryana. And in the meanwhile, probably rupees 10 lakh or 20 lakhs were given to the person who was deceased. And this man who survived, he also got something. And there was some promise made for a job to be arranged for the person, the deceased. And ultimately, the truth, when it came out, it was a shocker. The boy who survived, he gave all these details that this was the way we had loosened the hook. This was what we had decided. Yes, we were seen by this old woman when we were going near the tracks. And ultimately, the case was acquitted. The police officers were not found guilty. And so what I'm trying to tell is that sometimes the image of the police is so bad that version is never trusted. Even if they would want to tell anybody that this had happened, even when I'm telling you this story, you might feel that this is a cooked up story. But then it actually happened. It is available in the records. It is available by way of the witnesses, etc., their testimony and all that. So the image of the police is also against all these impressions. I will have 2 or 3 suggestions to make before I ask you to comment on for question answers. I mean, this is something which can be taken care of. Police brutality has to stop. Police brutality has to be obeyed. It has to go. You will have to brainwash the minds of the cops that you cannot take somebody's life. If at all somebody's life has to be taken, it has to be taken with due process of law to be followed, like hanging, etc., whatever is there. But you are not supposed to be taking anybody's life. There should be counseling. There should be psychological, inputs in the training of the police officers, that they have to behave like this. Their sensitivity has to be put in place, and they are to be told that, look, this is a crime, and if you are found indulging in this crime, you are also liable to be punished the same way as anybody else would be done for the same crime. Now, the second alternative which one can follow is for the immediate superiors. Like, I don't want to sound anecdotal every time I make mention of my things, but yes, wherever I have remained SP, wherever I have remained IG or commissioner, I have always made sure that the SHOs would tell me as to how many people are there in their lockup for the night. Generally, the brutalities, they are there in the dark hours. So any SHO having somebody in his lockup has to inform me, so that I'm aware that somebody, 1 or 2 or 3 people are in my lockup and in my custody. Maybe even my SHO is looking after them, but I am also equally liable if there is something which goes wrong with them. So the immediate control of the supervisory officers will mitigate this problem up to a certain degree. And the third option, I would say, is to have evidence during the investigations, which is science-based. If you have forensic science roped in, you don't need to put pressure on an accused. You don't need to extract confession. If there is sufficient evidence, narco analysis is there, there are so many things. Blood samples are there, semen samples are there, reports of ballistics are there. There are so many things, so many forensic tools are available. If you don't have any forensic tools to establish some kind of a crime, then you don't have to be in a hurry to be violent with people, plant explosives on them and proceed them for the trial, and then it gets, defeated. So in the totality of circumstances, what I have said is that police brutality is there. It should be stopped. It can be stopped by immediate supervision of the superiors, and it can be stopped when the investigation is roped in with forensic and scientific tools instead of extracting confessions. Now, there are some 8 or 10 more questions which Bhuvanesh Vyas has sent me. If you want me to address them, although half of them I have addressed, or if you want me to answer your questions which you might put to me, then I'm willing to do that. But one question I would like to, 1 or 2 questions I would like to answer here, and that is, police brutality always wrong or unnecessary? Yes, it is wrong and it is unnecessary. You cannot punish somebody, you cannot be violent with somebody who has not yet been examined, who has not yet been tried. Even if one has been tried, the punishment has to be as per the law. And yes, use of force. The other question relates to use of force by the police. There are certain situations where the police will have to use force and maybe to contain the accused person. Somebody is running away after committing a crime and the police is, they are chasing and there is a scuffle. You cannot kill a man who has just stolen 20 rupees from a shop and is running. And you cannot exercise more restraint and more force than what the other person is exercising against you. If he is in the process of scuffle, he has given you one blow on your cheek, you cannot take his life by shooting at him. You have to, the law says that you have to have to use only as much force as is required to arrest a person, to contain a person. And the first thing one has to do as per law to arrest a person is by way of mouth, that so and so you are under arrest. Maybe the other person is hard of hearing, so you have to, by touch, you have to say that so and so you are under arrest. And if the person doesn't behave, runs away or puts up a fight, then you have to use as much force as is required, as is needed to contain him. So here I end my session. You are welcome for your questions, if any. And I know there are so many people around, young boys and girls, young students. I would like to address each one's question. That's why I just closed it in about 30 minutes or so. So Bhuvnesh, all yours now.
Okay, if anyone wants to ask question, uh, they can raise.
Bhuvnesh, I didn't get you.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get you.
Sir, if anyone wants to ask, I have just told them to raise their hand in the option box.
Some questions have come in the chat window. You can scroll and read them.
Okay, sir, doing that.
Yeah.
A question from Kunal Jadhav. Some of the cases that police will be pressurized by the politicians. Is it true?
Yes, Kunal, this is 100% true. Like it happened and I have heard all the political parties, all leaders who belong to whatever political party, but since the cause happened to be that of the Dalits, so they had to put up a face before their constituency and before their electorate. So they would put pressure against the police that this is a handiwork of the police, register a case. And this is not in tune with this is not in consonance with fair trial. But then yes, the politicians, they do put pressure on the police to work out a case particularly fastly. And maybe sometimes they would name certain people who may not be involved at all. But yes, it's a fact. The politicians, they do put pressure, and the police officers, they also feel the pressure of the politicians.
Question from Siddharth Basu. Sir, according to you, what punishment should be accorded on the rock cops of Tuticorin in Jairaj and Phoenix brutality case?
In any case, not only Tuticorin, but in any case of police brutality, like they have enhanced punishment for certain offenses, there should be more punishment for a police officer if he is found indulging in a crime like manslaughter or murder or doing away with his life. particularly while he is in his custody.
Okay. Question from Pallavi Parikh. Sir, in the Hyderabad case of Priyanka Reddy, rape and murder, was it is a case of encounter or custodial death? This
Well,
is good question.
Pallavi, you don't really name a person who's been wronged that way. It is Disha case. You must address it with this appellation, this calling, that in the Disha case. Well, there is so much of a controversy with regard to this case, but the irony is that when on the one side, the police is sometimes targeted, and police is sometimes, most of the times, blamed for not acting. And in this case, the police was praised like anything, that they met the accused persons with adequate justice. All said and done, this is not the way. If it has happened that way, this is not the way the criminal justice delivery system works. The criminal justice delivery system does work only in that particular straight jacket, which is constitutionally and lawfully, legally made for that. Not, jumping out of that, and for a popular rating, you indulge in something which will earn you praise for a little while, maybe for some certain days, maybe for certain references to be made in future. But this is not good for the health of the criminal justice delivery system.
Question from Mary Lavinia. Sir, are there any psychological therapies or other coping mechanisms provided to the police on a regular basis for them to relieve their stress?
Yes, there are certain police academies. I have worked with the Government of India. I was in charge of training when I was with the Bureau of Police Research and Development. And we had foreign officers trained in India, and we had Indian officers trained abroad. And I was also part and parcel of it. And I have visited at least a score 20 police academies all over the country. And there are many academies. Hyderabad is good, Tamil Nadu is, Salim is good, Jaipur is good, the Philor is good, Madhuban Police Academy is good, and Delhi is good. But then, yes, there are modules available. There are no psychologists on their roles. There are no employed psychologists. They are only outsourced during the time of interviews, or they are outsourced for giving lectures or imparting training and imparting psychological inputs. But yes, the better thing would be to have psychologists employed in the training academies, because trigger happy police officer is a product of some kind of insecurity in his mind, which has to be tackled at a particular stage of his life, especially the training period. So it is very necessary that not only for having the policeman have his sanity in place, but otherwise also it is good for police officers to go under refresher courses, say in about 6 months or so, because we are so much under pressure all the time. We are so much under pressure in the police all the time that we tend to overlook certain things which are nicer in cohabitation in the civil society, and we sometimes overlook and have oversight of things which are decent. So we also get a little, quote unquote, we also need to be relieved. We also need some kind of a relaxation and some kind of a counseling being given by the professional experts.
Question is from Rahman. Why don't we install CCTV in every station?
Exactly. When I talk of science and scientific tools to be roped in the investigation, the CCTV camera has to be necessarily there, even during investigation, even during interrogation. All over, there is no harm. They should have CCTV cameras put in place.
Question is from Vikram. Please explain term of police custody and judicial custody. What's the scope of both terms, and under which authority police beat person in the authority, are police allowed or have power to beat a person whether he is not accused under inquiry or part of before inquiry? What sort of weapon they use, it does not come in medical report. How we can tackle such situation?
I will answer the second part of the question first. There is no system of police giving beatings or giving punishment, corporal, capital, or whatever to any person. To any person, there is no provision at all. And the first question, kindly repeat that.
Please explain term of police custody and judicial custody.
See, once when a crime is committed and there is enough evidence on file, you cannot go and arrest someone. You have to have some evidence to suggest on the file of the culpability, criminality, incriminating evidence against some person. And you may have further inquiries to make. But then when you reach a certain conclusion that this person needs to be arrested, then you formally arrest that person, and the moment you make it by way of an entry in your daily diaries, case diaries, that so and so has been arrested by me, that point onwards, he is supposed to be in your custody till he is produced before the magistrate. Now the magistrate has powers to remand that person in the police custody again, say for example 2 days, 7 days, maximum 14 days. So even that custody would be police custody. But once that period is over and the trial has to follow, but the court would want the person to be kept in the lockup, then that lockup is within the jails, the central jails and other jails. It is no more a lockup there. It is the jail. So you are lodged in a jail as an under trial, and that is the custody of the court. That is not the police custody.
Okay.
That is
Question again from Mary Lavinia.
judicial custody.
Sir, please can you share any case from your personal life where it was the most stressful and was there any need to use violence to get evidence from the accused?
I didn't get you. Please repeat the question.
Sir, please share any case from your personal life where it was the most stressful and was there any need to use violence to get evidence from the accusers?
See, this is a shortcut. This is a shortcut that the police will resort to. Reason is, let me say it in very bold and frank terms, that our criminal justice delivery system is so very heavily biased in favor of the accused. The axiom that 99, may not, criminals may go scot-free, but one innocent may not. Going by this sentiment, the courts always make sure that the accused should always get what is due to. If an accused is not present in the court for 3 hours, the court will wait for him. But if a constable who was to bring the file only to the court is late by 5 minutes, the court will write to his SP to take action against him. Otherwise also, where a remand of say 10 days is required because the person has to be taken to probably Calcutta, brought back, make certain recoveries, make certain people join the investigation who were conspirators. So the court will always give 24 hours for judicial remand. Now within those 24 hours, the police will have to work out the case because later on they are not going to get the custody of the police, custody of the accused. So within those 24 hours, crucial 24 hours, they'll make maximum use of the remand time. And it is here that the brutalities and the violent acts with the they take place. So all said and done, the criminal justice delivery system is very heavily biased in favor of the accused persons and not in favor of the victims, I must say. I'm sorry to say, not in. the victims. It needs research and it needs study.
Question from Siddharth Basu. Sir, have you experienced or being an IPS and superintendent conducted inquiry and filed report of misconduct?
Yes, as SP, I have taken not only conducted inquiries, I have finalized inquiries, I have decided inquiries, I have heard appeals against punishments, I have heard taken decisions with regard to people having been placed under suspension, arrested, and their increments having been stopped, their salary having been, fixed and all that stuff. I have taken, yes, decisions, and I have been part and parcel of the inquiry system as well.
Some police don't have any fear towards law and are illegal and rude to common public. Why does such mentality is arising in most of the police officers?
Bhuvnesh, there is so much of echo, I can't make out your question.
Sir, don't know what. Just I'm checking up. Now I'm audible.
Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay. Some police don't have any.
Police don't have any what?
Some police don't have fear towards law and are illegal and are rude to common public. Why does such mentality is arising in most of the police officers?
As I said, counseling and training is going to help. Like, for example, when I was a trainee officer, we have to work for 3 to 6 months as an SHO of a police station, even if you are recruited at the highest level. But then, when I used to come to my residence, and in the morning, the Munshi of the Thana, he would come to me and he would report cases of murder, arson, accidents, and free fight all through the night, saying, everything else is fine, sir, sab theek thak hai. Having told so many things about the crime which took place in one night, he says, sab theek hai. Now, this sab theek hai, all is well, it makes us a little insensitive to the general grievances of people. हमारा एक किस्म से संवेदना हरण हो जाता है सुन के. जैसे एक सर्जन को काटने में कोई तकलीफ नहीं होती, जिस तरह से he is not averse to the sight of blood and flesh. Likewise, with repeated, fill of all these negative and gory things which talk only of murder, rapes, and whatnot. So a police officer's mind also gets thick and insensitive in a way that he becomes insensitive to the grievances of people. He would misbehave, he would talk loose, he might also use swear words and all that negativity that oozes out of the mention of police. It's always there.
Okay. Sir, want to take more questions?
Yes, I have no problem.
Sir, don't know my voice is audible or not. Some technical issues arising. Yes, Bharat Jain want to ask question. I have unmuted you. Bharat, you can ask.
Good evening, sir. I am Bharat Jain from the Awareness Society. Am I audible to you? Hello? Hello, am I audible? Bhuvnesh?
Sir, now you can unmute your unmute.
Done that. Yeah. Yeah, please go ahead.
Question from Indrajit. What are your thoughts on recent custodial death in Tamil Nadu?
If you can type out the question in the chats, I can see the pop-ups.
Sir, there are so many questions in the chat.
They are all praising the session. They are not putting any questions.
Sir, lots of question is there.
Let me see.
Question is from Bharat. Sir, you can unmute you.
Yes. What thoughts on recent custodial Tamil Nadu?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I said it in no uncertain terms that most unfortunate, and the people who are responsible for this, they should be brought to the book, and it should be so exemplary that rest of the people, they should also make a note not to indulge in this kind of thing. Another question which I can see is in the police proceedings is the personal relations affect the nature of proceedings towards the convicted person by the police authority. Yes, it happens sometimes. And like the judges, they recuse themselves sometimes with having relations with the persons they are hearing, etc., etc. The police doesn't have powers to recuse. Sir, you superintendent conducted inquiry. All right, I saw this question. Some police does not have any fear towards law and illegal. Yes, because they are having so much of powers to enjoy. Case in personal life, arrested is allowed to record a video of himself until he is under custody. Why can't a person being arrested is allowed to and it's act as evidence to show that the accused was fit and fine him when he was arrested? Now, this is a very dicey, this is interesting. Hello, am I with you guys? Rahman. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
All right. There is a question coming from Rahman, one Mr. Rahman. And he says, why can't someone shoot a video of himself being arrested and so that he can have a record of his things, how he was arrested and how he was taken care of in the lockup, etc., etc. Well, I have not come across any such situation. The police officer, I don't know whether he'll allow this thing or he doesn't allow. But yes, to my mind, it sounds a concrete idea. But once you are in police custody, you have to have certain norms to follow. And well, this is a very confusing suggestion for me, and I am rendered, answerless for this. I don't know how to react honestly. Can you share one of the most trickiest, stressful cases in your experience? Mary Lavinia. Well, just to tell you, I was in Mauritius 3 years back, and we were driven by a cabbie. And cabbie came to know that I was a police officer from India. And he asked me if I had solved any murder case. So I told him not less than 500. And he almost jumped out of his seat. Yes, we have done cases. I can't recollect one or two or three cases. There are so many cases. Maybe running into hundreds that I have been part and parcel of during the times the investigations were made, during the trial, during the case which was there for adjudication before the honorable courts. So it's not one case, but yes, we have been part and parcel of investigations. We have been part and parcel of interrogation as well. But now it doesn't lie in my mouth, and no police officer is going to come forward to admit that he committed brutalities and he committed crime. But then, the mere fact that you walked out of the police department unscathed, having served for 35 long years without facing any departmental inquiries or anything to that effect. So it speaks volumes of a man having had been above board. So I don't think I indulged in any kind of brutality of this sort.
Question from Deepak Kumar Singh. Regarding the security provided to peoples in police custody under the DK Basu guidelines.
Under DK Basu guidelines, even as I said, the immediate superiors, even they are liable for action if anything goes wrong with regard to security or with regard to the person of an accused. He has to be time and again, medically examined. And he has to be kept away from all kinds of things which can cause harm or be cause to harm the accused in any way, in whatever way. There are reports to be made to their kith and kin. Advocates are to be allowed. There are so many guidelines. There are about 48 of them, and they are put up in by way of signboards in front of every police station and police chowki in the country. But yes, I must admit, all of those guidelines may not be strictly followed. There may be some leeway this side or that side, or some loophole this side or that side, because everybody is not that enlightened and he's not so much knowledgeable about the law, although everything has been put in the signboards. But yes, there is lack of information available to general public with regard to arrests and procedure to be followed later on.
So no, I think now we should sum up the webinar.
The last word, I must say my email ID is rajbirdeswal@hotmail.com. In case you guys have any questions or any feedback to share with me, I would definitely like to come again for such webinar, for such interaction with you all. I also liked your questions, and I also liked the environment, the ambience that you are all working in. Most of you are knowledge seekers, and most of you seem to be fairly professional in your approach. At this stage of your life, I wish you all the very best, and to be wishing you all that is good in life. And this is Rajbir Deswal, RAJBIR DESWAL @hotmail.com.
I will share on WhatsApp to everyone.
All right. Okay. So, Bhuvanesh, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for an interactive session. It was our pleasure to have a session with you, and we would like to have more sessions with you in future.
Whosoever is sending me messages, thank you, everyone.
And the entire team of Law Awareness Society is thankful to you, sir. Sir, I don't know what happened today with audio.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, it was good. I didn't feel any technical hitch or glitch anywhere.
Thank you so much, sir. And
I can see so many people smiling. Wow.
And really, sir, session was fruitful.
Great, great.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much,
All
sir,
right.
for
Take
sharing
care.
your valuable time. Thank you, sir.